Good morning to you and welcome to Newday Saturday edition. It is the 3rd day of November 2018 and we are thankful that we are still alive. It is Newday Saturday edition live on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7 and online at 3news.com. Also on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. The show, as usual, runs from now till 9:50, where we'll be analyzing some topics that have made the headlines during the week. We encourage you to send through your comments, your contributions to our WhatsApp number 020-2166-633, and we will share them as we go along on the show. As usual, there's a lot coming up on the show this morning. We'll start off with developments at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Of course, the spotlight is still on there as developments continue to unfold. You do recall that last week on the show, we discussed the dissolution of the University Council and the subsequent setting up of an interim council to, among other things, resolve the differences between the management of the university and the student body. Now, subsequent to that, the National Council for Tertiary Education appeared in the picture with a letter directing the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Kwesi Obridanto, to hand over temporarily to the Pro-Vice-Chancellor as part of emergency and interim measures. Now, the National Council for Tertiary Education's actions perhaps heightened the debate as to the legality or otherwise of the dissolution of the University Council and the setting up of an interim council. Before this debate could die down, government issued a statement that it had requested the Chancellor of the University in the person of Asantehene Otumfuosei II to lead the next steps in reconstituting the University Council, which would take over from the interim council. Now, the reconstituted council was to have been outlawed yesterday, Friday, the 2nd of November 2018, according to government's roadmap. But of course, that didn't happen. Question is, why did that not happen? On the show this morning, we will be interrogating this issue along with some other relevant matters concerning this development. We'll also turn our attention to the Ghana Maritime Authority, where some allegations that were leveled against the Director General of the said authority were responded to this week. Now, the Director General, in a bid to set the record straight, granted some interviews, or rather held a press conference where he sought to set the record straight. Now, question is, did he succeed in his attempt to set the record straight, or did he make things even more murky for himself? We shall be discussing that development as well on the show later on. Also, we turn our attention on FIFA, and this time it comes along with Kwesi Nyantakyi, and the news is that FIFA has handed him a life ban. He is to desist from all football-related activities. Here we're talking about administrative, sports, or any other at both the national and international levels. Now, additionally, he is to pay a fine of 500,000 Swiss francs, which is the equivalent of 4.82 million Ghana cedis. The ban and the fine are a consequence of Mr. Nyantakyi's violation of the FIFA Code of Ethics 2012 edition, as determined by the adjudicatory committee of the FIFA's ethics committee. Now, the football's world governing body launched an investigation into Mr. Nyantakyi following the expose by Anas Arimyao, Anas's Tiger Eye PI investigative work number 12. Lastly, we'll turn our attention to the Parliament of Ghana, where the fate of the RTI bill is unknown. So Parliament reconvened this week after its recess, and among the first issues to be dealt with was the RTI bill. Now, you will recall that prior to Parliament's going on recess, it had committed to passing the bill upon resumption. So there was some hope. But the question is this hope perhaps being toyed with, or what exactly is it? This morning on the show, we shall be analyzing some comments made by the Honourable MP for Adansia Sokwa, Mr. KT Hammond, which has to do with the fact that he thinks that the passage of the RTI bill would be a recipe for disaster. We'll be analysing these comments that have come from Parliament, and we will try to understand exactly what the fate of the RTI bill is. These are the topics we've lined up for discussion this morning. We'll take a break at this point. When we come back, we delve straight into the issues. See you shortly. Welcome back. This is Newday, Saturday edition, live on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7 and online at 3news.com, also on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. I'll quickly introduce the panelists for today's conversation. On my left, we have Mr. Kamaldeen Abdullahi. He is Deputy Director of Communications with the NPP. Next is Professor Clement Jidonu. He is the President of the Accra Institute of Technology. And we have Mr. Martin Pepu. He is a private legal practitioner. We're expecting the Honourable Member of Parliament, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamopo, to join us shortly. When he comes in, we will introduce him. So good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the show. It's good to have you. We'll start off with the Ghana Maritime Authority and developments there this week and last week. Indeed, it started sometime last week where allegations of corruption, conflict of interest, and others were leveled against the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority. Now, this week, he found it necessary to respond to those allegations. The question we're asking is, did that turn out good for him, in the sense that did it resolve matters or made matters even more murky? We have a story by Kwame Kluche. We'll listen to that and then Komla Kluche, and we'll come back to the panel for their perspective. So let's take a listen to that story.
The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, walked into the news conference after facing the board on Tuesday morning. His mission was simple: tearing down one by one the allegations of unjustified expenditure and conflict of interest.
We will not yield to people who want to extort. I will not yield.
With the compliment of the management team, the Director General was resolute. He is alleged to be holding 2 passports with different dates of birth. So the question was put.
The Minister has instituted some investigation to be conducted by the board. The very board you had indicated that had given approval of your hotel supplying lunch for the stakeholder meetings. Do you trust of a fair investigation?
You are being a leader of championing the mischief. In the first place, you even have gone far to take a picture of my hotel and put it into. So it's no wonder you're questioning. And if you are questioning the integrity of the board, if you are going to question, just as you've been doing, the integrity of the minister, it is not me to tell you whether the board will be fair or not fair. And I don't know whether you think you should have brought timber contractors to do that.
Then a second question was put.
Do you have any relationship with the contractor who is putting up the building that is supposed to house you, the contractor in the name of One Kusipia Global Ventures?
Minister and heads of states, Kennedy and the rest, they have their brothers as this and that. I know of people, and the people are Ghanaians, that have the right to contest a tender. And if it's because of that, they will not be able to contest. I did not give it to anybody. It was run even outside of me. And you're going to stand here, as you have been asking questions, that because somebody happened to know me, they can never do a tender in this organization. Kamala, that is below the belt. Even if my wife was to disclose and tender, and he has the capability to do something, and we shouldn't give it and give it to our enemies, you would have been wrong. I did not make the decision. It was based on numbers. Kamala, please, let us not delve into trivialities. Enough for TV3. You've had enough.
Some supporters of the Director General heckled the reporter moments after the news conference.
Okay, so that was the story by our Komla Kluche, looking at the Ghana Maritime Authority and the allegations made against the Director General. you saw him in there responding to some questions that were put to him by journalists present at the press conference. Quite an interesting development there. Kamal, before you come in, let's take the other dimension of it, which has to do with the allegations of him spending 1 million Ghana cedis to renovate his residence. Let's take a listen to that quickly.
Number 6, 5th Circular Road apartment, located in Cantonment, recently refurbished. It is the official residence of the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, renovated at the cost of 1 million cedis.
1 million Ghana cedis that has been used to renovate a 2-bedroom house for the Director General. Tender process went through administration. The bills of quantities was done by Prestige. So the Director General could not have influenced the outcome and gave it to my friend and said, increase the money so that when they do it, I can have your so-called chop chop. That building is now made out of 4 bedrooms of the main structure, the main house. A living room, a dining room, kitchen, a family room, a library, and a basement.
He was emphatic. He deserves more.
Some Director Generals have a house allocated to them and have even a separate guest house for entertainment. And if this Director General or any other Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority who superintend over the maritime industry in Ghana cannot have a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom, then I say it's mediocrity.
There are concerns about the source of funds for the project, which has since been completed, as the authority at the beginning of his administration complained about his inability to support renting and accommodation for the Director General.
20% of my salary or any other predecessor who will come and take over will be taking 20%. So over a period, it is going to pay for itself.
The issue of the number of air conditioners in the house has also emerged.
Each one of them to have an air conditioner will be 13. So the 11 is not enough. And by the way, we don't put them all together.
A Director General who says he is unfazed about what he describes as smear campaigns, but will focus on ensuring the authority attains the target of paying dividends to the state.
Great. So we will begin to look at that issue. But before then, let me quickly introduce Mr. Roxon Nelson Dafiamako. He is the Honourable Member of Parliament for South Dai constituency. Good morning and welcome. It's good to have you here. Great. So quickly looking at the Ghana Maritime Authority and the allegations and the response there by the Director General. Kamal, I'll start with you.
Well,
that press conference has been described by many as, I mean, in different terms, but I think the common thread in there is that perhaps it did more damage than good.
Well, silence is golden some of the time, even though it's not a panacea to a misrule or an oppression. I think the Director General might have some form of defense strongly to the allegations that flies in his face. However, sometimes packaging an information, packaging your side of the story to those who would have to analyze and determine whether or not you are wrong or you are right is imperative. The press conference, for me, if you ask me, trust me, I would have thought that in as much as we need information as to what actually went on within your domain that has brought forth to these allegations, in as much as we so much desire the information, I would have thought that a thorough job should have been done on the kind of response that he's supposed to give out. In certain comments, it could even be a phrase in your submission, could damage the entire good news that you have for people who are supposed to listen. First of all, what are the allegations? Establish whether or not that some people went to a restaurant or a hotel, okay, who, according to the allegations, were 8 people, ate to the tune of over 10,000 Ghana cedis. First allegation. Other allegations fly that, yes, still same food matter and drinking and, enjoyment matter as it were. That is what those who allege want us to, understand. Also gave an amount of over 100,000 Ghana cedis, all centered on feasting.
From his hotel.
From his hotel. Is that established?
Oh, he didn't deny that.
He didn't deny that.
Clearly.
That is where I would have issues. But you see, you may have a breakdown of a certain cost. I have cited a document which seeks to explain the amount of money spent on food. Okay? The allegation is that it's 8 people, but when you look at the document, no, it's a build-up cost that should have been added to the memo that is flying out there. In fact, I tried to be inquisitive, so I went in, then I saw that no, there was a justification attached to that memo. Which justification had to do with, at a point you have 22 people, at a point you have 21 people, so it's a pile-up bill. That pile-up bill then saw an initiation of a memo within for the debts to be defrayed, as it were.
But let me just make reference to his, a statement he made. This is quoting him. He said it's true. There was 135,000 on food for 500 people. It is in management records, but some people have gone out to say that there were only 100 people. We have 200 workers, and we had met and estimated that at least there will be a partner, child, girlfriend, or wife. That will make it 400. Issues with that as well. So make it 400. So question then is, assuming what he's saying is true, for 500 people, at the cost of 135,000. That works out to 270 Ghana cedis per person. Is that justified for a public institution?
Yes. You see, I am not seeking to justify it in any way.
But he sought to.
Very well. He gives us numbers. You see, what we need to pick from this is that, first of all, the allegations sought to give certain numbers that were outrageous.
And he brought in figures which were even more outrageous.
Respectfully, if we talk about 10,000 being 8 people, then he comes to question that and said, look, this is a justification I have. It's about 100 and something people, not, if you like, the 8 people as alluded to by those who are alleged. Then he comes to 100 and something thousand. He says, look, over 500 people, and that it was an end of year dinner or party that they had caused to organize as an institution. Okay? I don't want to go into the numbers. What is essential is that there are 2 informations here for us to analyze. One, whether the one who is alleged is rightly placed. And 2, whether he also, what is saying is the right thing. We don't really know. We have to decipher. I'm sure that is why the minister has said that, look, the board should investigate this immediately and let us have the full report of what indeed had happened. So we have 2 sides of the story.
But even before, the board, already that issue is already under discussion, whether or not it's even proper for the board to look into that. But even before that investigation is done, you have on the face of it now the allegation and the response. And the response is not helping. No,
I agree. You see, that's why I was trying to, I know you don't have much time, but I was trying to let us understand issues by issues, then we move on now to his response. Then we look at what actually he said himself. Of course, he has told us, I'm listening. And we juxtapose same to our normal principles and norms as a country seeking to ensure that good governance is seen,
protecting
seeking
the public
to ensure
purse.
that we protect the public purse. Who then seek to look at that. Now, these are the stories. I'm saying that, look, if those numbers are given and he's giving defense to it, but the responses, if you heard me earlier, I said, look, sometimes silence is golden. The responses, you may have a very great case, but you see, you just make a comment and you are in trouble. I didn't like the bit when he talks about, the air conditioning should have even been more. I'm being fair. You see, to be very honest with you, we have voters out there. If you're a politician or you are somebody in government, you've been given a mandate with the greatest of respect. There are certain comments you make that in a country and a society where we're seeking to say, let us reduce poverty, let's put strategies in place to see how we could nip poverty in the bud. Then if I come to sit down to tell you, I even need more air conditioners, obviously, it will not sound so good for us. Again, the aspect of the hotel being mine, and I want us to be objective on this matter. Clearly, if you say a hotel is yours, I don't know the composition of the board of Maritime, but I know that the Director General will concern himself with the micromanagement of the place. And of course, as to whether he's a member as a Director General, which I suppose he wouldn't be, he may be a member. A member of the board. Very good. A member of the board. And even if the board says, look, let's go out there and dole out or give this contract to this hotel for XYZ to be done, as he said in this thing. I believe that ethically, I mean, ethics would demand, or good conduct would demand, look, conflict of interest might arise. It's trite knowledge. It's not something we should try to gloss over. This is trite knowledge. So still, I won't jump the gun. Investigation is being launched on this matter. We're going to look at what actually will come out. It shouldn't be like, you know, we just talk about it and then it goes.
Not at all.
But I also want to believe that he has a great case. However, the conflict of interest bit of it is where I seem to have a little bit of a problem with the entire story.
Thanks, Kamaldeen. Let me come to Prof here. Prof, you saw the Director General in there. People have had cause to complain about the posture, which perhaps speaks to the mindset of leaders in the country, you know, that this is somebody who comes there and feels he's entitled to certain things. This is a public institution we're looking at. What did you make of that press conference?
Well, Abena, thanks and good morning to you and to our viewers all over the world. Well, I find the press conference very interesting and very surprising. It looks as if the Director General is swimming against the flow of reason and making arguments in reverse, so far as I'm concerned. You see, let's look at the numbers. We can all count. Is this a 4-bedroom apartment? 4-bedroom. First, there's something wrong with the original idea that this wooden structure should be renovated and then used as a residence for the Director General. Nothing wrong with that. I think the issue is the excesses. 1 million Ghana cedis to convert a 2-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom house because it went to tender, that we should accept it. No, we can all count. I think 1 million Ghana cedis is excessive. There are a lot of contractors in this country. Some of them are listening. Let them tell us. We also know something about construction. That 1 million Ghana cedis is excessive. That's the first point. Now, the next point, he said 11 air conditioners are not enough. He counted and said he needed 13 air conditioners. Now, let's count it. He has 4 bedrooms, is that correct? That's 4 air conditioners. He has a living room, another air conditioner, that's 5. You say you have a study, that is 6. Which other room? Okay, visitor's room, let's give you another 2. That's 8. Unless he's putting the air conditioning also in the kitchen. I didn't count. I can see how you could fit even 11 air conditioners in a room, in a house of 4 bedroom. I don't know. The president's house is at Nima there. I don't know whether he has 13 air conditioners in that house. So 13 air conditioners is as excessive as the 1 million Ghana cedis that he claimed was used to build the place. Of course, yes, the money went to the contractor. There are a lot of contracts in this country which are a bit excessive, especially when it comes to the public domain.
Sure.
The question I would like to ask the Director General, will he himself spend his own 1 million Ghana cedis to renovate a 2-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom? That's the first point. If he's paying for the use of that place himself, will he have actually installed 13 air conditions? He put it back to whether this is thinking mediocrity. We should think big. Of course, we should all think big. You think big on your own money. Yes, we all want to think big. We want to think big, very gargantua, but not on other people's money. 13 air conditioners for me is excessive. He also made a point that, oh, it will be paid back. The 1 million Ghana cedis used for construction, it will be paid back after a couple of months. I did my calculation. I don't know his salary. Okay, what is the president's salary? Is it 22 or 24,000 a month? Like he said something like that some time ago. It's public knowledge. Let's assume that he's earning the president's salary, which is about 24,000 Ghana cedis a month. And he said 20% of that will go to pay for this. I've done my calculation. It will take 208 months for that money to be paid back. Never mind inflation, never mind interest rate. We will take it close to about 300 months to pay for that money. So it's not the argument remains that, oh, he's going to be paid back. He will pay it back, the next Director General will pay it back. No. The 1 million is excessive. As for the 13 air conditioners he's talking about, okay, the government have installed 11. He says, no, you should go and pay for the 2. If you think that he really, really need 13 air conditions in his house. For me, in all, I really think it portrays some sense of arrogance in some of our so-called leaders in this country. People are poor all over the place. I can also give a calculation. How many small primary schools could be built without 1 million Ghana cedis? How many small clinics or health centers could be built without 1 million Ghana cedis? Here alone, 1 million Ghana cedis were used to renovate a house, and he wants 13 air conditions and never mind electricity. Who is going to pay for electricity? Is he the one going to pay for it? For me, all in all, his press conference is an argument in reverse. It doesn't make it make him look any good, and he's arguing against the flow of reason.
Right.
Yes.
Very well, Mr. Kwegu, quickly. Now, speaking about, he tried to justify, Prof mentioned that will be paid back and all of this. Question then is it? Perhaps the question is even a cliche, or I mean, perhaps it's going to sound like a hypothetical question. This is a public agency. Should we be seen to be engaging in such extravagance, such huge sums of money? For instance, 135,000 for 500 people. Like I said earlier, it works out to 270 Ghana cedis per person. You're looking at a public-funded agency. And now you come on to talk about his residence and the renovation of it. 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom converted into a 4-bedroom. Talking about the number of ACs and all of that. Clearly, this is extravagant.
Okay. It's really been very difficult making up my mind on this matter.
Why is that?
Why? Because it said the board should investigate. Okay? That's generally.
But yes, we'll speak about that too.
The side, as Prof and then Mr. Kamaldeen indicated, that what so far is bad and cannot be justified at any rate at all is the arrogance he's exhibiting. Okay, that one, yes, we all should join and tell him that, look, it's not his private business. Even if it were his private business, I don't think he has a right to deal with customers that way. Okay, so that one should go very clearly to him that he should even come and apologize. That's a public office. We are paying him, the taxpayers, there's money. And the Constitution itself makes it clear that administrative bodies and others should be fair, candid, and all that. And as part of that, people tell that customer care is key. And I should think that as journalists posing questions, and they are part of the stakeholders. So that
they are accountable to us.
Yes,
really.
Exactly. So that arrogance that he's exhibited, he should come and apologize for that. That one without any reservations. If he wants to talk that way, as I even said, even if it were his private company, he doesn't have the right to behave that way. Okay? Yes. But on the issue of the renovations, I'm looking at it. Director General, you see, in the scheme of things, 2-bedroom, it looks like small.
Okay, no. So that renovation was done, but we're looking at the cost of it to the state.
Yes. So that's the point where I said because they are investigating. Maybe we should wait. As Prof said, there are contractors out there. So when they come out with the figures, then we'll have the experts who are also contractors contest.
I do appreciate your perhaps
I'm trying to be a bit,
but like Prof said, I mean, there are a lot of people into buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the average cost. I mean, if you look at certain things, you can say, well, there's a range between this and this. And clearly people have come to the conclusion or have passed a certain value judgment that this perhaps may very well be on the high side.
So you see, when they do the investigations, then we'll see exactly what materials used. Did they buy marble? Did they buy very high?
But would that even be justified for a state, a public funded agency, for instance?
So it is when we see the components, then we'll say, oh, this is extra luxury. That's not what you should put in. You see where I'm coming from. So when you see the materials, because the figure itself, otherwise they'll say we are jumping the gun. We've not seen the components. So let's see the component. It will not be hidden. They say the board should investigate. And as long as
you even think the board investigating in itself is good enough, because there are questions about that.
No, that's problematic. It would have been better that we do a third party that's not connected with the authority. That would have been far better, so that there will be that independence. Because you see, for a board that he sits with all the time and all that, you know, even there'll be a perception of bias even before they start the job. So that one, perhaps we should look at it. There are so many agencies that can be asked to do this investigation.
For instance.
Exactly, so many. So that then when we get the components, when we can comment with full authority. I'm scared that
the components bit I find, because see, the man himself said that, I mean, he hasn't denied the figure. He said it was approved by the board. So as far as he's concerned, it's kosher.
No, so that's why the investigations, you know how I usually, we'll not run away from this. This same seat, I've occupied it in the past to lambast public officers when we think that they've not spent our money well, yes. But this one, once they say they want to investigate, I'm sure the investigations will now tell us exactly how it was spent. Then we would go, oh, definitely it's alarming. But because the investigations there, we don't have the report yet, I'm like, okay, so which part am I going to lambast when I haven't seen the cost component? That's why I said, so from the cost, the actual materials used, then we will conclude it.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure this in itself, what we've commented so far, even with the sort of preliminary comments, I'm sure it's gone to him and others who may be like-minded. So sometimes we must be magnanimous. There should be a point where we'll stop and wait for the final report. Then we'll finish it.
Okay, I'm not sure a lot of people agree with that part about being magnanimous, because people are out there looking at, you know, huge sums of money being thrown about. And like Prof said, look at what such monies could have gone to. We're not saying he doesn't deserve a good or a decent, residence, but the quantum involved.
Yeah, so that's so
is
interpreted that I've knocked
you have
query by saying that we'll finish it when we see the
very well. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate that, Honorable. Your perspective. You have had cause to complain about this. I've heard you.
Yes, I have.
We will. Yes,
I have made a call that he should step aside. He should be asked to step aside.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't expect different tone.
No, Kamaru, don't do this. This is a very serious matter.
I know.
You see, this one is in a long chain of instances like this. And it appears that when the matters break and it engages the public discourse, engages the public space, we debate it, and then we go back to sleep. Even when investigations are asked to be conducted, then most of the investigations come out to, as it were, establish that our initial reservations, our initial comments and all that were not founded. And so the person stays on. I'll anchor my subsequent submissions on this evidence. This is the Auditor General's report 2017 for public boards. Public boards, and I brought it because the man continued to insist that whatever figures we are looking at were all approved by the board. By the board.
And this one he said that clearly.
Yes, no, by the board. So I am going to take the boards on. 2017, all forms of malfeasance and management irregularities leading to a loss of in excess of 2 billion Ghana cedis. 2017 alone. If you take another report of pre-university educational institutions, also for 2017 alone, the monies we have lost is almost 30 million. Now, why are we doing this to ourselves? It is because he feels strongly as a government appointee, not merely because he's even a public officer. Because he thinks that he cannot be touched. That is why I have made a call that the government should ask him to step aside. Is he the first person to become Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority? Others have occupied that position. In which residents were they housed? So that when the institution decides to say that we are giving you a 2-bedroom house, if you don't like the 2-bedroom house, say so. But where the board even decides to do a renovation of a premises that they intend to give you to house you, you don't have to spend 1 million Ghana cedis, almost 250 or 200,000 plus dollars, renovating a house. So like my senior said, did they import marble from Spain and porcelain from China and glass from Zaire? Why? It's unacceptable. And what is worse is his attitude. He has refused to show remorse. Look, you could be saying things to assuage our anger. That, well, this is a practice I came to inherit. If it offends the sensibilities of the people, I think as a board we'll look at it and amend our ways. You'll be dosing our pain, and we'll expect that indeed the investigations that the ministry has asked that it be conducted, we'll await the outcome. But you are saying things that you are further pricking our anger in the matter. And I have 2 issues with the ministry's directive for conducting investigation into the matter. Why? A board, somebody is saying that a board has approved these figures, and you are giving a directive that a board should investigate itself. Clearly, it offends our principle of nemo juris in causa sua. You can't be a judge in your own cause. Not at all. It's unacceptable. And then 2, in the course of his press conference, he made very, very interesting statements. That if my wife, for instance, deserves to be given a job, I'll give it to her. Because she's a Ghanaian. Really. We have code of conduct for public officers in this country. And Abna, you're a lawyer, and my senior is there. And Kamal, you may not be a lawyer, but you understand this. That there are very clear checklists, principles underpinning conflict of interest situations. Case laws abound. Judicial pronouncements. What you ought not to do, less of which you'll be liable, you'll be in breach of the principle of conflict of interest. So if a high-ranking public officer of that caliber is able to say this to us, then what the hell are we doing as a people? He ought not to tell us that, because it is a ground upon which, when reports establish, you could be persecuted. That is why I am calling for IOCO to go into the matter. IOCO should be the appropriate agency that should investigate this
Some
matter.
have mentioned Shraj.
I have further made a call that this matter should be attracting the attention of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, for instance. Because you see, it appears to be a little, and I don't know other things that they have done which we are not privy to yet. But they may want to guard that. That is why I can understand the anger of the people that the progress on the passage of the Right to Information Bill is not fast enough, because then people can apply it for information. Look, a year ago you conducted an end of year dinner for your staff. So much money. You want to defend that? We are told 8 people ate for in excess of 10,000. You say no, it's 17.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Alleged, yeah.
No. The figure is not denying.
Okay.
You see, it's not denying the material facts. It's denying the content
And
of
the
it.
numbers. Well, the
And
number,
the
yeah.
numbers. Now, even if 17 people eat and it costs the nation 10,000 cedis, that is unacceptable. As a city, I'm looking for 60,000 to go and construct emergency ward for my Peki Government Hospital.
It says over 100 people, not 17 people.
But 100 people cannot be eating and costing it in excess of 135,000 when I need 100,000 to go and construct emergency ward at Peki Government Hospital. It's unacceptable. That's the point I'm making. And then minus all this, you spend in excess of 100 million on a residence.
No,
1 million.
1 million on a residence. And then to add insult to pain, you tell us that you need more air conditioners. So like Prof said, is he fixing air conditioners in his bathhouse or in his garage? We are trying to count them. So for me, the government must do the needful. They must ask him to go home pending the outcome of the investigations. Look, if the board chairman, and I know from the records, the board chairman is Mr. Robert Kingsford Kutin. He's the board chair for GMA. And I see Atadazi is also a member, a very respected lawyer from Cape Coast. They should try and do the needful. They should impress upon the sector minister to ask the director general to go and sit at home so they can constitute a properly so-called committee to go into the matter. If indeed the investigations, the board will be allowed to conduct the investigations. Otherwise, then an external, ideally, an external institution, Office of the Special Prosecutor, or YOCO, or SHRAC, any of them. Indeed, we crafted the law in such a way that they can all work together, they can coordinate on matters like this. They should look into this matter and the law, and let the law take its course where it is. I don't want to play politics this morning.
No, we don't have, because I mean, like,
yes.
you made reference to
this matter has
it's a national issue, and that's why reference to the this report you put out, the Auditor General's report, is key, because I mean, the Auditor General's report consistently over a period of time has raised such issues. Exactly. And I must say that it's not peculiar to just 2017.
I agree.
Previously, all of that, so it's a national issue.
Because of the break we had, because you see, the outcry was against the NDC, that we were seen to be profligate. But the level of profligacy we are seeing in this government is unimaginable.
So right now we're in a situation of comparing profligacy.
No, you always have to compare. You must always compare.
Perhaps we should be looking at how well we're doing in terms of austerity as against profligacy. That would
but the record also shows that it's gone up in this.
We need to take a break, Kamaldeen. When we come back, yes, we will wrap up on that quickly and move on to look at the KNUST developments and other matters arising. Let's take a break. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back. You're still listening and watching Newday Saturday edition on TV3, also on 3FM 92.7 and online at 3news.com, also at TV3 Ghana on our Facebook page. We're looking at the allegations and response regarding the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority. Kamaldeen, you wanted to?
Yes, I just wanted to. You see, Honorable showed us a document or some two documents which has to do with an audit conducted on boards by the Auditor General's department as well. It's not bad, it's good, but sometimes it is important for us to know that the Auditor Generals at the point of, bringing out this might not be the time that they conducted the audit.
It could have been a previous year.
It could have been the previous times. But you see, be that as it may, whether yesterday or today, wrong is wrong.
No, come on. Now, hold on.
Yes.
The matters we speak of were things that were done last year.
2017.
Indeed. And
last year, 2017.
Yes, the memos, all the documents we started were 2017 dealings.
Yeah.
And the Auditor General's report is for 2017. I just place it in context.
Yes, you see, I'm saying that sometimes the Auditor General will perform. Of course, if you are, unless you have read the document, will perform. It's always like that.
Yes.
So ahead, very good.
Then
they'll produce. I will not be surprised if we trace some of these actions taken to maybe say 2016. I will not be surprised.
But isn't the Auditor General 2 years late usually?
No, 2016.
Or it's changed now, because the Auditor General report has been late.
No.
Perhaps a year or very prompt.
Okay.
Because 2015, 2016 are
this is not even an issue.
Working on them.
For me, it's not. Yes, the point is it's a national issue. We need to deal with it.
Establishing what is wrong, of course, and I'm happy the tangent honorable told to let us understand that, look, there's supposed to be checks as always. This document points to some checks that has been done and is unearthing certain wrongs in our society. We still have to talk about it. Why? I did say that, look, conflict of interest.
The other point I made
was
that...
Please allow him.
Honorable, let me...
Please allow him to... You come back, yes.
I did say that conflict of interest bet of the whole thing that is happening is something that we have to look at. Whether it is one city, the cost element is immaterial to me. Once there's an act of conflict
which
of
is against
interest,
the code
or a seeming act of conflict of interest, we should talk and speak against it, rebuke it. You see, Maritime Authority, what is happening there? The last time, Peter Zuma, the Director General who left, had caused to spend over 141,000 Ghana cedis on data in his house, his residence.
Is it the same residence?
The same residence. The same residence that they've he was spending 141,000 Ghana cedis on data, internet data. That is yesterday. You see, it's not. I'm not seeking to justify what is happening today. That's why I asked what actually is happening in that institution.
And not just that institution. Maybe
other areas.
It's the only institution up now, but we do know
we are speaking
that
to that
it's
now.
perhaps a trend.
See,
yes.
we are speaking to that one now. You see, this man seeks to explain that some 135,000. Yes, the figure is frightening. It's spent on food. You see, but we can narrowly say that and get people, if you like, a bit worried. However, he comes with an explanation to give a breakdown. There was an end-of-year party. Decor is part of the cost. This is part of the cost. VAT is part of all these things will come up. But my point is not justifying it for me.
That is yet to be determined.
Very good.
By the investigation that is supposed to be done.
Absolutely. So like I said, there's an explanation to it. The building, I like the way Lawyer Martin people talk about it. Look, we cannot sit here to quantify holistically and then realistically say that this is what... None of us here is a quantity surveyor.
But we can always consult. We can always consult.
I'm just ending it. I'm just ending what I'm saying. But I'm saying that, look, we need to thoroughly look at some of these things. Conduct of appointees of government is very necessary and very important to us. Look, we have campaigned on the fact that good governance is something that we're going to espouse and we're seeking to push forward. Now, if at the end of the day, there are aspects of certain happenings in government that points not to the good governance that we spoke about, I think it's a worry. So clearly, I want to say that, look, let them investigate, let it come out, let's see what happens, then we can move on.
And given the context, perhaps the board would very well be a wrong choice.
Well, of course, given the context, I think that you cannot be a judge in your own cause.
Exactly, which is right. Quickly, Honorable. By the way, how is the Ghana Maritime Authority doing in terms of...
Before, let's get this clear. Before the minister issued that directive for the board to look into the matter, this press conference hadn't come yet.
Exactly.
You get it? So now that is even more reason why.
But it still doesn't change the fact
that the more reason why
they, according to the Director General, approved it.
So if he has come out to mention the board is now roped into the matter.
Yeah,
and I don't think.
Yeah, it would have to be looked into quickly.
Yes,
it calls into focus my call that then the board should not be the entity investigating this matter, because ipso facto the issuance of the letter, he has come out to say that it was the board that gave the approval. So how will you then be?
So this, we're saying this based on what he said.
And I will tell you, GMA is certainly doing well because they have a huge medical facility attached. You know the Ghana Medical Hospital, they are doing very well. So suddenly they have come into resource, so they can decide to dissipate it in.
But in terms of their core mandate, is what I'm asking, because the medical facility you're talking about perhaps wouldn't necessarily be their core mandate. Maybe it's been set up to bring in revenue of some sort. But in terms of their core mandate as a maritime authority, how are they doing? Is what I'm asking.
Very well. There are a lot of bricks business in our ports. And they are in charge.
The maritime industry is
the maritime industry is very huge, and Ghana is doing well. Oil exploration and all that. Ships are coming here a lot. But my call is that he should step aside
For the investigation.
For the investigations
very well.
to proceed.
Prof, your concluding remarks on this?
Well, for me, he said something very instructive. He said, don't be complaining about my $1 million expenditure. Other director general are benefiting more. So there's something going on there. We don't know. I want to know how this even came out, that this guy is spending so much money on houses and food. It may mean that the practice out there, it may be more than we thought. So this is a notice to all these government appointees that we are still a very poor country. We're all struggling. They should try and cut the coat according to the size of the country. So yes, he said there's more going on there. And also you make another very interesting point, that well, if as a country we must think big. Yes, we will think big. That big thinking is to develop this economy, to develop this country. Let the cake be bigger, then we can all share. Not only few people take a lot of money to renovate their house.
Very well, thanks for that. Mr. Ping, your concluding remarks on this?
Yeah, so I'll join the rest of the panelists and yourself in strongly calling for a different entity, a third party, preferably Yoko or Shraj, to do the investigations, because as we stated earlier, he's saying the board approved this. So it would just not be right. It would just not be right for the same board to investigate itself. Let's have an independent investigation. And also, in the meantime, he should come and apologize for what he's done, because this is, yeah, it's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Very well. We wait to see if that would actually happen. Come out. Maybe you pass on the message.
Well,
or
I'm
whatever
sure.
But we need to move on to look at developments happening at the KNUST. Last week on the show, we discussed this. We looked at the dissolution of the University Council and the subsequent setting up of an interim council, which started out as 7, and later on we had UTAG until we come on to making 9. Now, this week, the government requested the Chancellor of the University in the person of Otumfuo Seitu II to lead the next steps of reconstituting the University Council. And the understanding was that that reconstituted council would be outlawed yesterday, Friday, the 2nd of November. But that didn't happen. And this is after government had set up the interim council and given that interim council a term of 3 months to do its work. So, but even after that, then we had the National Council for Tertiary Education also come in, issue a letter to the Vice Chancellor and said to him that hand over temporarily to the Pro-Vice Chancellor. So the question then is, on that same Monday when all of this happened, the NCT with the letter and all, government issued a statement to say that Otumfuo should step in to help with the next steps. Question is, what changed? What changed? Kamaldeen, that's to you.
You see,
what changed? Because the interim council had the term
governance,
of 3 months, and then now this. What changed?
Governance is and will remain a going concern. Governance is a process and not an event. I mean, indeed, that is why we have laws and we have parameters designed for us to follow in times like this. Dynamic they appear. You know, we don't have it so rigid, you know, standing. So once there's that flexibility, okay, and in your quest to ensuring that, look, we have a normal situation, we have a situation that has been resolved, clearly you would embark on this flexibilities or this flexibility. But what is material is, where are we now? And where we are now, is it the best for all of us? There's a closure of an institution, which is a very important one, of course, to us. What can we do as a people, as stakeholders, to ensure that that closure is taken off, and then at least students would be
I get that, but I'm asking what
no,
changed,
your question
because
is,
you remember last week we were
yes,
here looking at the dissolution,
you
the
asked what
legality
changed.
or otherwise.
Yes.
Are we to take from government's action subsequently that perhaps government is admitting that the dissolution was contrary to law?
You see, when you read the communique that came from the information ministry, which seeks to talk about the engagement that went on in Kumasi with the Chancellor and other stakeholders. You realize that, yes, even though National Commission for Tertiary Education, NCTE, came at a point to say step aside, even though, yes, there was a council dissolution and an interim council put in place, these were events that, of course, preceded that meeting. Now, having had the meeting, the communique then says that at the request of government, the Chancellor is opposed or should work on how we can constitute a council that indeed will look into the matter going forward. But in the tentative, that interim council stays.
But for how
Friday.
long? Because the reconstituted council
that
was
a
to have been outdoored yesterday.
With a grace of
you're looking
respect.
at.
So that was and the questions were like, okay, government, or the issues were like, government will bring 4 representatives, just as is spelled out. Then other institutional representation that was supposed to be part of will also be part of it. Then the Otumfuo will go on. I'm aware that there has been this tour of the campus by the Chancellor and the
to assess
VC,
damages and all.
And to assess damages and all that.
Yes.
Where are we?
Cost.
Yesterday, as of yesterday, we told clearly that the announcement couldn't happen, and that we're still waiting on government to put in or to bring in their input, as it were. Like I said, there's that flexibility. It's a process. Let's see what caused the problem earlier, okay, will not be revisited. Let's see how we can get a better way of constituting the council, then we can all go on, or we'll all move on, as it were. So I know the government is committed, and I'm aware that, look, we're working so hard to ensure that at least lecturers are happy, students are happy, whoever is supposed to be at the center of it is also happy, so that at least we can move on. So clearly, yes, yesterday the announcement didn't come, but I believe that from now to Monday, there could be some resolution to it.
That happened, yes, as we go along. But Mr. Martin Pegu, quickly, you know this discussion here, the legality or otherwise of the dissolution of the council and the subsequent interim council constitution and all of that coming up. And I was asking what changed, because here we were with a certain impression based on what government had put out the week before that the interim council was going to be in place for 3 months with a certain terms of reference. And a couple of days later, we hear of the Tumfo coming in to reconstitute. So what?
Okay. Yes, as for the 3 months, the initial 3 months, it looked too long. So even from day one, as soon as that announcement was made, a press release, we started advocating that no, 3 months was too long, because, you know, to the extent that it was interim. And looking at it, see, let's not forget that in all of this, if we understand what's on the ground, you know, in Kumasi, Otumfuo is like head of state. So to have the interim for 3 months, it didn't look realistic. So from day one, I remember even on Joy FM last week, straight away, I said no, they should push for shortening it. And that's what's coming to play. So that basically, you know, government is a huge stakeholder. Yes, the president has the power to dissolve and all that. But when you are exercising the power, you exercise it in respect of people, okay? Other people have interests. So it's a balancing of the interests. That's what's at play now. And you see, it's good that the president has allowed Otumfuo to lead, you see. So though constitutionally, yes, he has the power, but in exercising it, it's good to involve the citizenry. Because, you know, the bottom line in all of this, it's just, you know, the fact people are claiming, oh, it's illegal, it's illegal. The point people really want to make is that the president has too much power. But as for the legality of it, within Article 70, the president has power to dissolve the council.
So you think that dissolution was...
Oh, legal, down straight.
But there are those who are
no
so
doubt.
certain that
Not
it was...
even any scintilla of doubt.
Very
straight. Look, let's make this clear. The Act 80, UST Act, okay, it was in it that, look, the PNDC appoints the council. Then, when Justice Crab was doing
he took out the PNDC.
Yes, but this, the Statute Law Review Commissioner, when he was doing these things, in the process, he ended up making so many changes that have brought us difficulties.
Right.
Okay? So the simple point I'm making is this. To the extent that the Constitution makes it clear that the president appoints the members of the governing councils, that's Article 70, and also Article 195 makes it clear that or the whole of the public, all public offices, it's the president that appoints. Of course, some of them he delegates. So let's say for the big institutions, after appointing the big shots, the board and all that, he delegates for the board and the rest to appoint the junior staff and all that. But ultimately, he has the power to appoint, okay? So where you have the constitution making it clear, and then an act of parliament which is subordinate, okay, taking out that power, obviously there's a clash. And so the constitution should, you see, as I said, in my heart, and that's what the president is doing, we want him to curtail some of the powers. It's also good to share the powers with others. That's what we want. But I cannot use that bias that the president is too powerful to say that, oh, in this case, the dissolution is illegal. No. Article 70 and 195 are too clear. He had the power to dissolve, but the way he's going about reconstituting it by allowing Otumfuo to lead is the right way to go. Yes, okay. And so, you see right now, what is holding the reconstitution is the fact that, understand, yesterday we followed the president of Utah, is it Dr. Mensah, Opoku Mensah, something, that's the name.
Yes.
Yes, he was saying that they want to retain their old members.
Exactly.
Please, that one is problematic. It's problematic because, you see, the old council, yes, we cannot, sitting here, attribute the riots and the distraction to them directly, okay, without evidence. But it's also widely accepted now that in matters like that, ultimately, it lies on their desk because they were the council.
Exactly.
So in matters like this, where the atmosphere has become very toxic, okay, usually it's standard to step aside, bring fresh brains on board.
But they are saying that they were elected, these particular people were elected for a particular tenure. And if that tenure is not up, they can't.
They should do something about it. They should do something about it because, you see, at their level, yes, they have their constitutions. So we have to interpret their constitutions vis-a-vis the Ghanaian constitution, because the Ghanaian constitution, the national constitution, is supreme. In it is a president power to appoint. Those persons listed in Act 80 are nominees. They nominate their persons. So where your nominee was on the board, the university council, and this unfortunate incident has happened, leading to so much distraction, loss of goodwill, and probably distraction of the academic calendar. You see, we should begin to up our game where officers in charge will feel some sort of ultimate responsibility. So we don't need to push them. They should just have accepted that, well, it's sad, we may not be personally responsible, but to the extent that we're in charge, we will just step aside, then we'll have fresh blood on board, fresh ideas.
Very well. We're hoping to get the UTAC president on the line to engage with him, and hopefully we get some, clarity on all those outstanding matters. But we'll need to take a break. We'll be back shortly to continue with the discussion on developments with regards to the KNUST. See you in a bit. Welcome back. You're still watching and listening to Newday Saturday Edition. We're live on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7. We're also streaming live online at 3news.com, also on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. We're looking at developments with the KNUST, the reconstitution of the University Council currently. Where are we on that, and also other matters that have come up? I'll quickly take some messages that have come through. This is from Edwin in Ashmota. He says, "Hi, Abna and your discussants. It's a shame our education is experiencing this capricious and whimsical turn. I urge all the stakeholders to sit at a round table to bring a lasting solution to this problem." Williams in Koforidua says, "The public service has become a cash cow that mealy-mouthed and venal politicians are milking with reckless abandon. Individuals in the mold of the DG of Ghana Maritime Authority are the bane of the Akufo-Addo government. His diatribe against Komla Kluche is totally unwarranted." Tahiru Ibrahim from Yikpabongu, I hope I got it right, says, "The Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority should have spoken remorsefully, maturely, and name it as his stature. In fact, it's perturbing, hence should respectfully step aside. His demeanor is not good at all as a public servant." Good morning, Abner, and to your panelists. When you're appointed to a public office, you serve all citizens equally without discrimination. So I don't get it when the MD referred to sections of the Ghanaian people as his enemies. even your opponents are not your enemies. That's Al Hassan Babana Musa in Tamale. Abdul Fatawun Nwa says, please, I'm highly disappointed in the director of the Ghana Maritime Authority for spending 1 million Ghana cedis on renovation of a house. The president must fire him immediately, or Allah save us. Where's the NPP-led and Nanado government taking us to? Let me take this one. Says, good morning, Abna. The Director General of Maritime Authority and his accomplice must be investigated and prosecuted. How can a renovation of a 2-bedroom into 4-bedroom house cost 1 million Ghana cedis? That is 10 billion old Ghana currency. I like it how when people try to, you know, exaggerate it by going back to the old currency. This one says, I'm shocked at the maritime boss. People are in this country and how to eat even once a day is a big problem, and you think you are from a different planet, so need to be treated specially. Greed will catch up with you soon. Let me take the last one here. It says, I want to know from Kamal if he and his party believe in allowing the boards to investigate themselves, just as they're doing, clearing everyone. Madam, why can Ikufado allow KNUST board to investigate itself, but quickly jump to dissolve because of Vice Chancellor? Okay, I think Kamal clearly stated here he would rather have maybe an independent party or entity look into that. So that's it here. We'll take a break with the messages. Thanks for keeping them coming through. We appreciate that. But we'll go back to the panelists for their perspectives. I'll quickly go to Prof here to hear you on this. Reconstitution, we are at a crossroads. We hear there's supposed to be a certain agreement between government and other stakeholders in terms of who to bring back on. UTAG, for instance, is saying that, well, they're sticking to, you heard what Mr. Kwebu said, they're maintaining their previous representatives, and government wants to bring on fresh people, and that's where we are at currently. How do you propose we move forward with this? How do we get out of this mess? Because we really need to move on. The school, by the way, is scheduled to resume on the 8th of November. Will it
resume on the 8th?
Well, according to government's roadmap, that's what it is.
Some timetables are already been missed.
You're right.
The council was supposed to be in place on Friday, and today is Saturday. And the 8th is on next Friday, is that correct? I just hope that they come together and resolve this issue very quickly. Now, for me, the union, that is UTAG and what? TERU, are saying that we have a right to nominate who we want to nominate to the council. Because I think by their argument that we didn't even agree that there's anything wrong with the old council. Government rushed to dissolve the old council because they think there's something wrong with the council because of what happened. Means that they are saying that they have some responsibility to what happened. That's a debate.
So it was a dire security situation.
Very good, very good. So that means that they didn't do a good job, so you guys step aside. The council was dissolved, and then the vice chancellor was asked to step aside. The other parties, then the lecturers went on strike, that if you don't reinstate the council and the vice chancellor, we don't go back to school. That actually made government to change its mind, that something must be done. We must congratulate the government on that. They found out that there's something wrong. If they continue in what they're doing, there will be an impasse, and nothing will happen. So they changed their mind. The original approach by the government was a bit of a stretch-hammer approach. Abraham, in this country, we have a lot of student demonstrations in the past. We don't go shut down the council. We don't go asking the vice chancellor to step aside. There have been countless. Some people in power now were student leaders who have been instigated and did a lot of things. But the university council was not dissolved. Neither was the vice chancellor as to what? Step aside. So some people who are saying that there is a political issue here may be correct. I'm not the one saying that. That why did you rush to shut down the council? So the government said that where the council is now. On one thing about vice chancellor, you see, vice chancellor has a lot of responsibility, and to discharge that responsibility, you must give him authority. When you ask a vice chancellor to step aside, even when you bring him back, you undermine his authority to run the university. So for me, that was rather fortunate to ask the vice chancellor to step aside and the council to be resolved. Now, The lecturers went on strike and the government said, look, let's look at this. That's good. It's great they brought the Otunfo in. I was asking, where was Otunfo all along? Why wasn't he consulted much earlier? Is Harry respected? Okay, he knows what goes on there. He can bring order to this situation. But the government substituted him and went and resolved. Now, what the union are saying, that, well, we don't see anything wrong with the people we sent there before. We are sending them back. And the government said, we have a gentleman agreement. They said, well, you pick the jockey, we pick the horses. It's as simple as that. These people we send, there's something wrong with them because we don't even think there's anything wrong with the council. So they can sit down there and make this debate until forever. Because I think the union are very convinced that the council should not have dissolved in the same place, the first place, but the people they send there are okay. They have a term, they will go back and run their term out. If we see anything wrong with them, we will draw them. The government said, no, you must change them. They said, no, you can't do that.
But how do we get beyond this impasse?
Well, I
because
think
clearly there's that impasse
I think
between the union and
I think the
government.
Otunfo must come in again. The Otunfo must come in again. Okay? And then arbitrate between the government and the union. The thing now is the government and the union. The students have gone into the shadows somewhere. They go breaking down things here. And if they would not have broken down things, we wouldn't have found ourselves. If they were just gone out to demonstrate, hold placards and say anything they want to say, and then go back to their dormitories and to their classrooms, I don't think we'll be here. They've done it. They broke things. They brought in the police, the security people. The government said, oh, because these guys have caused a lot of harm and damage, we must come in and dissolve the council. They shouldn't have done that. Now, I think the Otunfo must be brought in again to arbitrate between the government and the union, because those are the people who must now sit down and say, look, are we going to send our old guys or we're going to send the new guys? But for the government to insist that they must send in a fresh rep, I think the unions are not going to back that. They already threatened.
But do you think what the union's position is tenable? It's justified that, well, these people were elected for certain, looking at the situation as it is. We're trying to fix a situation, and so perhaps there needs to be some compromises here. I mean, that's, after all, that's how we get on with such tough situations. I mean, you don't stick to the letter of the laws in certain instances, especially with situations like this.
Yes, it's up to the union to back down. But the way the union think now, I'm not a member of the union, but the way they think now is that where we are on top, why don't we stay on top? We force them to change their mind. We force them to reconstitute the council. We force them.
We're winning, no?
We are winning, yes. So why do we change our mind? Probably the union may say that, well, we have gone enough, we got enough, well, probably let's change these guys so that we make progress. We have some few days more left, but I think the union is going to stick to their gun for a while, because to them, withdrawing their people is accepting that the old council should have been dissolved in the first place. That is the idea. For them to say that, no, the council should not have been dissolved, because that's why they say, bring the council back, nothing wrong with it. Which means that the people they send there, there's nothing wrong with them. So if they accept to change the people, in other words, they might be thinking that the whole council should have dissolved. But I think the union must look at this carefully, because we are in session. University is in session. Yeah. The students are still waiting to go to classroom. I say, let's see what happens in the next couple of days. Maybe they will see some reason and probably reach some compromise with the government.
Yeah, very well.
What Prof says is good. But you see, in the past, when we are making comparison, we realize that students rather demonstrate much more against government policies. Okay? But in this case, we are talking about against the management of same institution, establishing crisis. That is where Martin's argument will come in that, look, the one who appointed you thinks that the people or the critical stakeholder who are the students here think you have a problem or they have a problem with you. Hence, there's no peace, no harmony. What do I do? Right. It's a crisis situation. I step in to see how we can normalize it. I'm sure that is what has brought us this far. But you see, once again, under democracy, the legal issues will be raised. Whether this is legal, that is not legal. What is material? If we are in a crisis situation, as a father, do you have to act? And you act harmlessly. So I think that, yes, we are there, and I'm happy that now the two sides or the three sides are understanding the issues and, of course, are ready for us to dialogue and then get the way forward.
Right. So currently, Honourable, we are at the stage, we need to reconstitute the council. We have this on our hands. How do we, you heard Prof, let's go back to the table, Tumfo should come in, let's have him, you know, talk to both sides and see how we can move on. But from your perspective, I'm asking this question again, do you see the union's argument as tenable? That yes, these people were elected for a certain term. Then again, just to pose that to the situation where we have currently on our hands, which is, yes, there's a serious situation. This council presided over a certain period, which led to where we are at currently. Is it good enough that they come back reconstituted with these same people in there?
First of all, this government appears to be mishandling a lot of issues in our educational subsector. First of all, I can cite a lot of examples, but because of time, I'll narrow it to the issues. The government has no business dissolving the University Council. First
there
of all,
we go with that
yes,
debate again.
no,
so
no,
right here
no,
on this
no,
panel, we have one who says yes. I totally get you.
Yes.
Definitely, sure.
They are no business.
Definitely.
Why? Students have always rioted against some form of policy implementation on university campuses. You don't dissolve councils. And now, you may have the power to appoint. But under Article 70 and 195 that my senior cite, it doesn't give you the power to dissolve those bodies whimsically.
But that was not whimsical.
Why? It was done whimsically. You have only 4 reps on the council. We should look. The council was not wholly appointed by government. Government should stop exhibiting dictatorial tendencies towards the institutions. Tewu says we elect our reps, even though we say we should nominate. Before we nominate you as an institution, as a body,
at our level,
we elect you.
Right.
So how would you be asking us to conduct another election just because you feel that the person who was there, the body that he joined, ran into some problems?
Aren't we in very exceptional times?
No, at all.
Don't you
not
think?
At all.
Don't you think
not
that is
all.
what
Let
it
me
is?
tell you.
Good question.
They are asking. There's no exceptional circumstances. They are asking the institution or the government to, in fact, restore the council. So when we are using restoration and reconstitution, we are mixing the point. Their demand is that restore the council.
But that will be met.
Hold on, senior. Yes, you may not meet it, but that is their demand. If you decide that in the course of the restoration, your reps, your four reps that you have powers over, you want to change them, that is fine. But apart from that, all the other institutions. Okay, would they be? Hold on. Would they be asking? Hold on, Abraham. Would they be asking the SRC to change the SRC president?
Just a minute. Let me
hold
ask.
on. No, I am asking you.
I can't.
Exactly.
I'm not in that position. But let me ask a question.
Ask the SRC president.
Let me help this conversation.
Okay.
You know, in discussing the Ghana Maritime Authority instance, you quoted, I mean, a Latin phrase.
Yes. Nemo
exactly. You did.
Yes.
Don't you see this as being something similar? This council, constituted as it was back then, with those representatives from Tewu and Utah, right? If they come back, wouldn't it be the same case of coming back to look at things that you did? Isn't that that's what I'm saying? There are exceptional circumstances.
No, I'm not. With all due respect to you, it's a misplaced question. Why? We are not asking an investigative body to go into that.
But they definitely need to look at what happened, which led to
have the
where we are at.
And let me show you. If you go to Act 80, the Establishment Act for University, the University of Science and Technology, and the statutes. You see, all the universities, they've come out with a practice where the regulations that govern the activities, they call it statutes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
The VC is the chief disciplinarian of every university.
And the VC himself is caught up in something which requires somebody to discipline him.
Oh, the students.
You see, you are mixing the point. The point is that whatever decision, and the SRC statement, I will have recourse to it. They said they demonstrated not against the conversion of the halls. We are missing a lot of issues, but the brutality that was visited.
By whose arrangement?
By one of them. Hold on. And a matter such as that, there's a disciplinary committee. that is set up under the statute of the university as well as the Act 80. So the SRC is saying the university ought to have investigated that matter. And because they didn't see any such thing done by the university, so they went on a rampage. Now, if the council is in place, wouldn't this be done effectively?
You see, Abner, let me.
No,
How do you want to
please
assume?
not that.
Hold
No,
on.
let him. Let him finish.
How do you want to assume that, for instance, change of membership of the governing council will resolve this? So you're asking the SRC, for instance, to change their rep, which is the SRC president, so a new election must be held? Or you think that the vice president or the secretary of the SRC will become the member of the board? They won't do that, because they're also governed by statutes, their constitution. So the institutional representations, government should listen to the institutions, that we are not changing our reps. But if you are minded to change your reps, we are amenable. Bring new reps, and the council will still function effectively. But you cannot insist that because I am considering changing my reps on the council, you should also do so. TEWU is governed by constitution. UTAG is also governed by their own constitution. And they go according to the tenets of those constitutions. So government is being unreasonable for me.
But how do we cross that bridge is a question.
Sorry?
How do we, assuming the parties, both
Yes,
sides were
yes,
to keep to their positions,
Yes.
we can't move on.
Yes, because
So
you
what do we
see,
do?
government is being unreasonable in its demand. Practically compelling TEWU and other institutions to change their membership. That we demand that your reps be changed. And you see, the nominations by the institutions of these persons to represent their interest on the council were not something that was done not according to certain procedure. That is what government is glossing over. That they just didn't get up and say that I'm now going to rep us. It went through a certain structured arrangement. So if you're asking them to reverse that, it poses an inconvenience and cost to them. And above all that, they think that they repose a lot of confidence in the person who is representing their interest. The representation is all about interest. And government, the 4 persons representing government on the council, is also about interest. So why would you want your interest to supersede the interest of another body? So government should be more reasonable in the matter, so we can have progress. I am sure, but for government's demand, Otunfo would have inaugurated the council yesterday.
Because that's where we are.
That's where we are.
We need to take a break. When we come back, you quickly wrap, and then I take Martin Kigu's comments on this as well. We will take a break, but before that, let me quickly bring in some comments that have come through. This one comes in and says, I'm into building and construction. Such huge sums of money for renovating a 2-bedroom house is never economical, but an extravagant manner of breaking the public purse. 13 numbers. And that's 13 air conditioners for a 4-bedroom house. That, okay, he says that should be a mortuary, not somebody's residence. Good morning, Abner. Let's not entertain and defend this kind of thing. Look, NDC did same and were punished. Anyway, how much does he alone contribute per month or per annum to the national coffers? In fact, we says we as Ghana where poverty rate is very high, and you behave as if you are in America. It says that is not unfortunate. This one, Prosper says, Madam, I want to know from Kamal if he, I think I read this already. Let me take this one. Atia Maxwell in Garu says, good morning. I'm shocked at the maritime boss. People are in this country and are not able to get themselves a square meal in a day. And yet here we are spending all sorts of amounts. Please, I'm highly disappointed in the director of Ghana Maritime Authority for spending 1 million Ghana cedis on only renovation of the house. So clearly, the comments coming in respect of the Ghana Maritime Authority joining in the sentiments out there. We await whichever committee or commission that will be set up to look into that. But before then, let's just take a break. When we come back, we will wrap up on the KNUSC conversation and we'll go straight into FIFA matters. See you shortly. Welcome back. This is Newday, Saturday edition, and we're looking at the developing story with regards to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The reconstitution of the University Council is where we are at currently. There seems to be a standoff between government and the unions regarding membership or representatives from either side. What is happening? How can this be resolved to ensure that the timeline of 8th November, which is when the school is to reopen, would actually be maintained so that academic work is restored to normalcy? That's what we're discussing here. I believe, Kamal, you were going to conclude.
Yes,
then I go to Martin quickly.
Have a bite on Honorable's comments. You see, Honorable seeks to paint the picture as if the VC and management of the institution, okay, were not the reason for the
demonstration,
the unrest by the students. You see, the reasons were simple. The students allege that brutalities were meted out to them by internal security arrangement of the institution. Let's not forget that there's a head of security on campus who reports to the management. Of course, we're supposed to be part of it. There's a dean of students in place, and we have a VC in place. Technically speaking, these are even the three main people that we say that run the affairs, the day-to-day affairs of the school, as well, and register as well. Now, the students say that, look, the head of security, whether it's by his direction or not, but his men do X, Y, Z to us, to the extent that the student was beaten to a point where, I mean, most of us thought it wasn't proper. Even if a student had gone wrong, contrary to regulations laid down, you don't visit such mayhem or such brutalities on a student. So because of this, the students said, look, we are tired. Therefore, we are demonstrating, we are boycotting lectures, and we'll demonstrate to push home our grievances. It is clear here that management, okay, were up in arms, or the students were up in arms against management. Now, if that happens, then the government of the day, who is empowered by Article 70, as Martin put it, empowered by the implied laws, Article 297, as it were, which even talks about disciplinary control when you read Article 297, come then in to say that, look, let us find a way of solving this matter. This crisis here is clear. If we have crisis, within the ambit of these provisions, I can do X, Y, Z. Then we go on, then we start making noise. It's institutional representation, it's blah, 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 it's this and that. You see, we've gone past all this. What I'm seeking to establish is that, let not Honorable just say that the students got up and were demonstrating against certain things. They were demonstrating against regulations that were imposed on them, to the extent that we're told the student is supposed not to even go out when it's 10 p.m. A matured institution like that.
You see, you are.
Wait a minute. Let me just. I'm just. You see, to the extent that you say no student should be out of the hall when it's after 10 p.m. and that you can have you don't come in and all that. These are very strong, measures that you put in place that sometimes it's not easy.
So you're saying that those who caused the students' reaction should also face.
So if the management were the cause, it means that there should be a way of seeking redress, or there should be a way of making sure you put things right. In an ideal situation, one would say that the intervention was very necessary.
Thank you very much. Prof, yes.
So
I'll come to Prof and then, yes, I'll come to you, yes.
Well, I really think to make progress,
yes,
there must be some compromise between the government and the unions on a representation. An independent committee, an independent group must be set up to investigate some of those points you're making. Okay? Yes, university has statutes, university have rules. I'm pretty sure if the thing that Kamal is saying is correct, that, well, you cannot go out after 10 o'clock. Is it true? Is it part of the yes. And then the security head is to go around beating students. Of course, all those things are not good. I really think that even if that was the case, it could still be handled internally. The Vice Chancellor has a duty.
But they had no trust in the management.
No. You see, you must. You are talking about management, day-to-day
affairs of the university.
Yes, day-to-day management is very different from council. The council, they hardly show they are there once in a time they come and meet. The day-to-day management. If the management, as per the security head, acts outside his mandate, it can be disciplined by the vice chancellor. No question about that. The rules are there. He's an employee of the university. You cannot go molesting students. Now, I want to know how long has this been going on and management didn't take action? We want to know. Has it been going for long? And I think if the government have come in and said, look, we have all these things from the students. What have you done? I think the government can task the same council, the same management, say, look, do something. If the government is not happy, they can put together an independent team.
Which they did.
An independent group.
But that
council
was not independent. You had
independent
people from the previous council on there.
Yes.
So that wasn't independent come out.
Yes, independent is saying to investigate, because these are serious matters.
Yeah.
You know what is serious? The vice chancellor of Lagos also came back and said, I hope this doesn't happen in my university. If I see any sign that this is going to happen, I'm going to shut down. He said it.
He said it. Yeah, I heard it. And they had to hold it.
You see, I mean, this thing can have ripple effect.
Yeah.
So the way we handle it, it's extremely important. You see, you may have the power to cut the wire, but you must be careful which wire you cut. Yeah. Nobody is saying that the government don't have a right to come in the way they come in, but you must be careful the wire you cut. It's extremely important because the wire you cut at this in KNUST, you may also decide if it happen at Lagos, God forbid, the vice chancellor say, God forbid, will you cut the same wire there too? So it's extremely important. When it comes to university affairs, it involves a lot of multi-stakeholders. The students, the workers, the unions, the lecturers. You see what happened? We try to address an issue concerning one constituency. The lecturer say, okay, we are not going to school. The government say, okay, we need to talk. So university matters are not as simple and straightforward. So we must be careful the way we intervene. The way we intervene, and when we intervene, the day after intervention, we need to be careful. After all this is done, and the council is constituted, the vice chancellor will be recalled back. Will he still have the same authority and the same respect and responsibilities? Those are issues we must consider. We must look before we leap next time, especially when we are investigating. So I think the unions may look at it and see how we can go forward, and we can learn some lessons out of this. And government must next time be a little bit cautious before they jump into these issues, because it can be very messy.
Right.
And that is the situation they find themselves now.
Right. Honorable Dafiama, your concluding remarks on this.
Now my closing remarks on this matter, on this show, will be that government should listen to the various bodies and their peculiar concerns in the interest of in the general interest of the people, that we want a closure to this matter as soon as possible. Like Prof said, we should be careful it doesn't have a knock-on effect on the other tertiary institutions. Look, even secondary schools are demonstrating.
Oh yeah.
Administrations are not dissolved. Well, the governing bodies and councils of those secondary schools are not dissolved. The headmasters are tasked to deal with the issue. So let's adopt the same principle. Let the council function. If you use management in universities is a very complex, large environment. Management are more hierarchically structured, from departments, from institutions, schools, colleges, and all that. So management broadly used will be misplaced. The governing council is the apex of all this. So we must be careful, like Prof said. We don't cut off the head and leave the body in this area. Let's put the head back on and let the institution function. There's a disciplinary committee in the university. The registrar is part of it, dean of students. All these things can be handled. The SRC is an integral part of all this. So I'll urge government they have other matters to engage them. So they
shouldn't be engaged in this one.
No, I'm not. I said they have other matters to engage them.
Right.
Let them listen to UTAG and all the institutional concerns, so that we can make progress.
Very well.
Otunfo has stepped in.
Very well. Let's
so
see
we
how
make
it goes.
progress on this
Great.
matter.
Lastly, yes, Mr. People, concluding remarks on this.
Okay. So my concluding remarks are that you see this current impasse as to whether they should change the UTAG reps and the rest. The Supreme Court predicted this situation. Yes, when this statute law revision case came on. Yes, the Supreme Court expressly admonished the Attorney General to go back to Parliament with bills to correct all the far-reaching changes that the Statute Law Review Commissioner made, which were going to give problems. Let me read an instructive part. Look, and the indictment of Parliament. It says, "It is, however, a sad commentary that Parliament failed to live up to the trust reposed in them by the people of Ghana by their failure to be the true watchdog in such critical matters. This is because the deliberations on the adoption of the 7 volumes of the Laws of Ghana Revised Edition were hasty, superficial, and lacked any commitment." You see, and so on and so forth. So these laws have been a lot of problems, and this is one of them. So I think this is the right call that the AG should look again so that they will return and straighten these things, because the constitution is too clear. But because of the changes that were made in this green volume, people are hanging on to it. And finally, Abner, so the green volumes, as you have it, you know, currently on the board of the KNUS, look at the absurdity. It says that there should be a member from the Committee of the Defense of the Revolution, CDR. Yes. So those asking that they want to go stick by the letter of Act 80, there has to be a CDR member on the KNUST board, University Council. Yes, let's have a CDR. Where is the CDR today? Where is the
CDR was never done in Nkrumah's
Very well.
Act 80 was crafted by Nkrumah's.
It's in the law. It's in the law. You are saying you want to use it. So that is it.
Yes. I think essentially what Mr. Kwebu is saying is that we cannot necessarily stick to the letter of the law in this particular times where there are exceptional, circumstances. But that's fine. We need to move on. We need to move on.
So you cannot insist on the law.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I think we're done with that. We're moving on to look at football matters. This week, yes. This week we heard the news emanating from FIFA that Mr. Kwesi Nyantichi had been banned for life. And he was to desist from all football activities, whether administrative, sports, or whatever it is that comes with it, at both the national and international levels. And of course, this is coming in the wake of the work by Anas Arimio Anas and his Tiger IPI titled Number 12. The discussions have gone on whether it's harsh or not. Some have sought to compare it with other decisions or sanctions handed to some officials of FIFA itself, talking about Sepp Blatter in the past and all of that. I mean, we'll be looking at that. Honorable Dafiamokpo, take us away with this one. Your perspectives on that. But before that, I think we have lawyer for Anas, Mr. Kisie Jabing. He granted an interview to us, so we'll listen to that and then return to the panel.
From the FIFA end of things, yes, and even more, in the sense that we went asking for a live ban and we got more than what we even asked for, a hefty fine of 500,000 Swiss francs. So it's vindication, but of course the job is not fully done yet. There's still some to be done, especially in Ghana. It's a mixed feeling in a sense of it being that most of the people involved in this football scandal are personally known to me, and the poster child himself is personally known to me, professionally and on a social level.
What do you expect, to be the final outcome after that appeal? Do you think that he could walk away with a more lenient punishment?
I cannot preempt, but you see, if he appeals, we will not be involved. We have done our job. If he appeals, now we didn't take the decision. The decision maker was the FIFA Adjudicatory Chamber. So if he appeals, the parties are going to be Mr. Nyantichi and FIFA. So FIFA is going to defend its position based on the evidence we provided them, based on the evidence gathered by Tiger IPI and Anas Arimia Anas. And that is what FIFA is going to use. And with video evidence, raw and cut video evidence running into hours, self-proclaimed, when you have not even been sent by any person, when a football discussion is ongoing, you then start dropping names of politicians who have not ostensibly sent you, by tagging monies to their names. Give this person this. If you give this person 5 million, if you give this person this, a minister of state, the president, the vice president, and then you say you top up with your own with $1 million for it to become $12 million. Self-proclaiming it on a video. Of course, you didn't know that you were being videoed. You are only sorry because you've been caught red-handed on the video. With this evidence, FIFA is going to, if he appeals, FIFA is going to go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, put this raw and cut video in front of the panel, the arbitral panel, put his own handwritten memorandum of understanding, and he was caught on video. He was filmed writing this memorandum of understanding, where he engineered for himself 5% here, 25% here, and he was in the middle as agent for the would-be sponsor, an agent for the Football Association of which he was president. FIFA will go place before the Court of Arbitration for Sport email correspondence between him and the supposed sheikh and the supposed secretary of the sheikh, in which he was even in the emails trying to further bribe the supposed secretary of the supposed sheikh that if the money were wired quickly enough, this was what he was going to benefit from it.
So that's lawyer Kisei Jabin, the lawyer for Anas Arimia Anas in there. Obviously a happy man. He says they went to FIFA seeking some reliefs, but it seems they got over and above what they wanted. Quite a happy man in there. We'll be looking at that, but quickly let me bring in some messages from viewers and listeners. This one says, this is to Kamal Dean. He says, Abna, tell my former Nasara coordinator and current deputy coordination director to stop defending the undefendable. What the DJ is saying is stinking. Special prosecutor should probe him. Please, Kamal, come again. That's Suleiman Otu. Yes, I think Kamal
I was being objective on this matter.
Abna Kamal Din again. Kamal Din should never attempt to defend this issue at all. We NPB for soldiers are seriously against it. That's Bawa, you start in site 12 in Tema. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it, Kamal?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. This director should be in police custody while investigation is going on. Of course not. Let the rule of law prevail. Charles, that's Charles in Half Asini. Abna, the more our own NPP members and government try hard to defend this man, the more angry we, the members, become. They should investigate. He said they should investigate the passport issue too. Okay, that's Ofori Boating Daniel. Good morning. Why does government want to spend time and resources investigating one thing which has become a clear case of corruption and arrogance per the director's own press conference? Fire him straight away and prosecute him. Good morning to you, your panelists, and all your viewers. The maritime board scandal is just an iceberg of corruption under this government. When an aquatic animal finds itself outside water, it will need 13 ACs. Okay, that's Mohammed from Samtelugu. Thank you for that. Good morning, Abner. Please, I would like you to come to, Shama District Assembly to investigate the amount of 1.3 million being used to build Shama, in Kwanta community. We'll take this up and look into it to see the veracity of it. Thanks for sending that through. Good morning, Abna, and your panelists. Ghana Maritime Authority Saga. He says the Director General Kwame Owusu must be sacked with immediate effect. That's Goody Papa in Kaswa. I'll take the last one from here and we go on. It says, good morning to you and your panelists. I've been asking myself this question over and over again, if we should learn from our leaders or not, because if one can spend 1 million cedis and still nothing, and sees nothing wrong with that's a big mistake. And that same person can use his hotel to enjoy the pocket of Ghanaians. Tell the politicians that one day Ghanaians will rise to the occasion, just as KNUSD did to demand answers one way. That's Stanley. Thank you very much, Stanley, and all of you who've sent through your messages. Please keep sending them through and we'll be sharing them as we go along. So we turn our attention now to FIFA and their sanction handed down to Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. Honorable Dafiamako, I would start with you on this, your perspective on that.
Yes. First of all, Abna, in our criminal jurisprudence in this country, one key principle underlining the relevance of otherwise of a piece of evidence in a particular matter is Section 51 of the Evidence Act 323, and it talks about relevant evidence. So where a piece of evidence is deemed to be relevant to the determination of a matter, it is immaterial how it is obtained. The courts will admit it, and then in 52, determine the probative value to place on it to determine the matter. Now, it will only be excluded under 52 where it will prejudice, unfairly prejudice the case of a party and all that. Now, we woke up one day to news that NASA released a video or a film of certain activities within the sports, particularly within GFA. Now, after some time, he made it public. But before the public showing, we also received news that it was privately shown to the president, upon which the president made an official complaint to the police, and he engendered public debate, as a result of which Mr. Nyantechi was actually arrested at the airport, because at the time the official complaint was made to the police, he was out of the jurisdiction. He was arrested, his statement was taken and all that. There have been demands that the police come public with the outcome of that inquiry. They still keep telling us, they use their usual cliche, the investigations are still ongoing. But whilst that was pending, the protagonist of all this, Anas himself, decided to petition the world governing body of football, and added all manner of exhibits and evidence and all that. And the case was gone into. It has just emerged that sometime this year, I think so, that sometime this year, as part of the adjudication process, FIFA wrote to the Office of the Attorney General for further documents. And the Office of the Attorney General wrote extensively to FIFA, touching on a lot of issues, and in addition to that, exhibiting a lot of documents and explaining the contents of the documents that they forwarded to FIFA. And some of the contents are so revealing, to the extent that, for instance, the Jamafe Commission came out with a lot of conclusions. That, for instance, Mr. Nyantechi couldn't account for $200,000. He couldn't account for $3.5 million. And he also misappropriated $412,500 without receipts or any justification. And as a result of all this, FIFA came out with a verdict, the effect of which is that Mr. Nyantechi has been banned for life from engaging in any sporting activities. That is participating in any association's activities concerning sports. And in addition, he was also fined.
Maybe strictly speaking concerning football. Maybe strictly speaking concerning
football. Okay, I agree with you. Because the ICC is in charge of athletics, IOC and all. Yeah, they are all sports. Now, he was also additionally fined almost $500,000, the Swiss francs, 500,000 Swiss francs. And the further question others are asking is, how would FIFA even levy this execution? But the procedures are very clear. Yes, very clear under CI 47. But the question I want to ask is, the Attorney General has been saying for some time that the evidence they have gathered so far upon police investigations and all that are such that they are unable to prosecute this matter. But you see, in our training, we are taught that it is not the business of the prosecutor to persecute. Yours is to prosecute a crime or an offense. Whether or not you succeed is immaterial. Make sure you do the prosecution. Let the defense be such that your prosecution fails and or succeeds. It depends on the defense that the accused will put up, and the courts will evaluate it.
But if you don't put up a good case, the defense may not even be necessary.
No.
Which is why they need to...
No. I agree that is why the Attorney General's office will always issue a fiat on a docket that has been forwarded to them from all the investigative bodies, because they have the power to prosecute. Some have been delegated to institutions like police and all, IOCO and all. But they still will have to issue an advice. Yes, and special prosecutor. But they will have to issue an advice that proceed with prosecution or abandon prosecution, given
whatever reasons there are.
Yes, given the legal evaluation of the docket. But the point I'm making is that even though they have that power, and that power is exercised on economic reasons. Otherwise, the principle is that once you think a crime has been committed, and you have conducted investigations, and you have come up with some volume of evidence, take the person to court. Let the court make the decision. But because of economic reasons, we want to see where we indeed prosecute will succeed. So the state does that.
But isn't that a prudent way to go about it?
I agree.
Yes, because you just can't get up and
I agree.
go.
Otherwise, you see, when you also have an unscrupulous government, then they may never prosecute any matter, because they will tell you that the evidence we have is not sufficient enough for us to prosecute. How is it that we are able to provide documents, pieces of evidence, to an ethics committee for them to evaluate and come out with a decision, which decision is adverse to the interests of Mr. Nyantechi? And yet, we are unable to rely on the same piece of evidence and proceed with prosecution.
But respectfully,
hold on.
Quickly,
Hold on.
But the question
the AG is on record. Hold on.
Let me
the AG is on record to have said that the evidence they have so far is such that they are unable to prosecute, and therefore, when they at any time that they get
Honorable, will you be? Please. I mean, will you be correct to compare the proceedings of an ethics committee, if you like, perhaps a disciplinary committee, to a criminal process? I think they're two different things.
No,
the standards
exactly. It's about the standard.
You may have a speedy.
Hold on. It's about the standard
in one, but not necessarily for the other.
It's about the standards. But not the probative value of the evidence.
Very well.
Or you understand me? So once you can ask another body, another organ to rely on this for their determination, then you who is providing the evidence should be able to rely on the same to be able to prosecute. That is what I'm saying. Let Mr. Nyantechi prefer such a defense that you fail in your prosecution. But don't tell us that you don't have enough to prosecute the matter. That's my point.
Until the contrary is proven that they do, and they are refusing to go to court, I think we cannot put that.
The evidence emerging shows that they do. They have the Jamape Commission report. It's not been torpedoed.
But the Jamape Commission report was, predated this government.
Exactly.
Yet we didn't see any action from
government. Government is in a single continuum. And the person we speak of is the person whose name have been mentioned in the report.
Very well. Quickly, let me go to Kamal and then I come to Prof.
Well, bad day for the former GFA boss, or bad times for him. We, as a people, have always held that, look, the best practice within our corporate governance system, within our system holistically, must be a principle which seeks to fight against corruption. I mean, wherever you find yourself. And that is what we do. The MPP will talk about how well they will fight against corruption in their manifesto. The NDC will do same. All of us will do same. We've all had cause to also initiate processes that looks like we are all ready to fight against this canker. I remember in 2006 when Act 720 was passed, the Whistleblowers Act. The intent, okay, or the intention is to ensure that we unearth corrupt practices in our system. So if clearly today, a media person, a journalist, an investigative journalist for that matter, embarks on his job and unearth certain things that are hidden, that are quite not too good for our forward march, we'll only have to thank him and welcome it well. Remember, again,
but how we use that information is also necessary, and which is what Honorable Dafiamoko was heading.
Very well.
But
I'll come to it. I mean, let's remember that it's not the first time
praising the journalist.
Yes,
but it's another thing getting into the realm of what we do with that information that is put out.
Very well. Whether we act or we do not act on it. I mean, let's also bear in mind that this is not the first time a NAS expose is coming out.
Sure.
We've had series of it, spanning from government,
the judicial service and all
and
of that,
other areas. You see, point is, FIFA is involved here. FIFA thinks that we are an autonomous body. We have our own set of laws, set of regulations. If something is alleged to have happened within our fold, we reserve the right to investigate same and, of course, establish a culpability when the evidence shows. Let's say this, bearing in mind that laws governing FIFA, the ethics committee of FIFA, will do well on those regulations to pass their verdict. Honorable seeks to talk about the evidence law of Ghana, talks about criminal jurisprudence in this country, and then ended with CI 47, the court rules of Ghana, as it were. I don't know how he's marrying that to the set of laws of FIFA.
No. He talked about the rules in respect of how the fine is going to be levied against.
He cited the evidence law and spoke about how evidence are actually used, the principle of evidence. And
that
then,
was
of course, I thought it
rules.
was deemed to have come out of the point that I'm going to appeal. And then he was looking at the cogent nature of the evidence available for the ethics committee. As well. I'll side with him on that anyway.
No, he didn't even touch on the appeal. I don't think he touched on it.
I listened to him. Anyway, but let's move on. If you did not, but I'm trying to say that our set of laws are our set of laws as a sovereign state. All right. Of course, we have said that we are signing to a particular agreement to be part of FIFA, and we agree to be part of them, and they move on. Now, the very important point Honorable makes, which I feel and I stand to differ with him, is to create an impression out there as if the government of the day, after all this rot which has been exposed to us, okay, is not willing, if you like, to act on the matter.
That was my point.
No? Yeah, that is why I disagree with you. Okay. In the first place, we are here this morning discussing this matter because there has been a verdict by FIFA. And FIFA clearly, but what has been leaked to the media, okay, points to the fact that without the assistance of the government of the day through the Attorney General's department, we would not maybe have gotten to where we had gotten to.
That's my point.
Again, so it means that
if we're able to help them,
it means that wait a minute, I'm getting there. Why? Who has come out to say that the docket is closed as far as Yamutu is dead?
You see?
Nobody.
You see?
No, please,
I will just get there. Now, the point is that once the government of the day had cause to even get back to the Jamape Commission, get material.
Old man says he's forgotten that.
In addition, please, let's get on. In addition to other informations that we do have concerning this matter, sent to the ethics committee of FIFA for them to help in determining this matter. It means that the government of the day is committed to not shielding anybody. Now he talks about the Attorney General being on record, Deputy Attorney General being on record, saying that they do not have enough evidence to prosecute. I did not listen to the Deputy Attorney General, no, and I don't. I'm just I'm taking your word for it. But I'm saying that the latest I know about this is that the CID had done with their investigation. Same docket has been referred to the Attorney General's department for advice on to be put on it, and then for prosecution to ensue. You are a lawyer.
For how long now is the question, Remy? We are looking at the time.
You see, let's take Article 19 of the Constitution of
Ghana.
The complaint is from by the president.
We don't rush into some of these things.
Yes, but we don't rush. Yes, but I'm just asking a question. How long has it been with the AGs?
Why, you want those who make the argument that once FIFA is done, government of the day should
not at all. I'm not even. I'm not saying there are two different things. Parallel systems, but I'm just asking. Yes, I'm just asking. You are making a point that government assisted
how long
FIFA to come to its
verdict.
Yes, but I'm asking, how is the process being dealt with here? And you're talking about the fact that it's with, but I'm asking, we need that information. How long has it been with the AGs? Yes,
a very useful information you gave to us this morning as a lawyer is that, look, criminal investigations, establishing culpability under criminal processes is quite a difficult
But I think I'm entitled to my answer. And I'm happy about how long has it been with the AGs?
Today. And when you listen to me, I have cause to say that, look, the police have indicated that, look, we are done with our investigation, and we just got done. We've referred same to the Attorney General's department for advice. And of course, after the advice, we then continue where we have.
And I'm asking, how long ago did they refer to that? That's a simple question. Unless you don't want to give us the answer.
We have said that, you see, justice will surely be delivered, no matter how slow you see it churning out. It is important.
But in as much as justice should be delivered, it should be seen to be delivered, which is also a very important thing.
Which we're seeing by the fact that investigation is completed, by the fact that, yes, first of all, he was called or invited to the police. He took his caution statements and all that. The process started. He has been investigated. We are now told again that, yes, the docket is within the domain of the AG. The AG will advise. Then we can move on. It is
but you're not telling me how long it's been there.
Of course, obviously we'll get there. Obviously we'll get there. But you see, what is critical in this matter is that, please, is a warning to all of us. Wherever you find yourself, remember, you never know who's watching you.
Great.
Do what is right and let us move
at all times. On that note, thank you. On that note, I come to Prof. Prof, you've heard the politicians.
Yes.
The back and forth, yes. Reference to Jamepe report which occurred before this administration, yet we didn't see anything happen on it. This government comes into place. Jamepe report is mentioned at a press conference. We are told that it's not on the radar of government. Now we are here. What's the situation?
But basically, for me, Abena, we need to be very careful not to try to meet the drummers on the way. I'm quoting an account proverb that if you're in the chief's house and they are beating the drum coming to the chief's house, you don't run to go and meet the drummers. You wait for them to come.
They are coming to you.
Well, you say that the drummers are probably the drummers are coming. I mean, it's taking too long for the drummers to come, but they will eventually show up. So I have no problem with that.
Very good.
We have just been told that the docket with the Attorney General, they'll look at it. And also, on a lighter note, let's be a bit sympathetic to Nyantechi. Can you imagine if the government have also finished and slapped their their punishment on Nyantechi when this guy, the FIFA, big soup.
So he should have some breathing space.
Yeah, so I am very confident that the case will go to court. Okay, and it will go to court. I mean, it will go to court. It may be slow, but it will go to court. And also, you need to be careful not to be knocking at an open door. They already told us that the document is there, so let's not be knocking at it. It will happen. Coming back to Nyantechi himself, I really sympathize with the guy. At the same time, I don't sympathize with him. You see, they always have a saying that small shame is better than big shame. Okay, Nyantechi is not saying that he's going to FIFA. Is he looking for small shame because this one's a big shame, or he think that by appealing to FIFA to clear his name, you will get a small shame? You see, you need to be careful. There's a lot happening in his life now, and he deserves it. Now, people were compared to Stadbrata punishment and
Platini. Yeah.
You see, you must be careful when you steal from the poor people. It's a very serious matter. Brata, they were talking to millions. Is that correct? Yes.
Secretary General. They are all gone.
You see, so United case really messes up as a country. Our image, our GFA boss seen on television, collecting money and putting in the black bag. It's not just about Nyantete, it's about this country. So I think that Nyantete at this stage should try and prepare his lawyers to fight the case that the government is going to bring, rather than going back to FIFA. Because you've already got a small shame. If he's not careful, you'll get a big shame. Because he has messed that up big time. We sympathize with him, but we still don't sympathize with him. He deserves what he got.
Very well. On that note, we take a break. When we come back, we look at the fate of the RTI bill in Parliament. No, Honourable, we are done with this matter, so we'll see you shortly. Welcome back. We are in our last lap of the show this morning, and we'll be looking at the RTI bill. So Parliament reconvened from recess, and top on the list of issues to look at was the RTI bill. But it seems that discussion or the deliberations on the RTI bill may not proceed anytime soon, or we may not see it move on as fast as we like. But we also hear that some members of Parliament, specifically the Honourable K.T. Hammond, he is the MP for Adanse Asokwa, has made some comments which has really made the headlines, suggesting that the passage of the RTI bill may be a recipe for disaster. He goes on to say that it may not augur well for the governance of the country, but it could be gold nuggets for journalists and people looking for information. It has really sparked a conversation about the RTI bill and whether or not government would actually give effect to the bill so that it becomes an act, or it's just government or politicians playing lip service with this bill. We have Mr. K.T. Hammond on a soundbite of him. We'll take a listen to that and return to the panelists.
I can understand why you are anxious, but does it make for sensible governance? I am very uncomfortable. I mean, Britain has been in democracy for about 1,000 years. It's only in 2000, year 2000, that somebody thought, and that is Tony Blair, thought that we should have a right of information. Even that, after its passage, it was suspended for 5 years. In 2005, America, 200 years democracy. When did they have right to information? Just trace the history. Somehow, somebody is pressing it on Ghana. Have right to information. It has potential banana skins, and we got to look at it pretty carefully.
We've got to look at it pretty carefully. Those were the words of Mr. K.T. Hammond, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Adanse Asokwa. We'll be looking at that, but quickly let me put out some message from Vodafone. It says, make the smartest choice for your business now. Go for smart business from Vodafone and experience real flexibility, convenience, and productivity. Smart business from Vodafone allows you to create your own customized data and voice plan to suit the unique requirements of your business. Whether it is airtime for your workers, to make critical calls, or data packages for email and digital marketing, we have got you covered. Also, you get to roll over your unused data to save some cash for your business. Move your business into the future with Vodafone Smart Business. Call us on 0302 334040 or 0800 10 000 or visit www.vodafone.com.gh/business/smart business to build your own plan. The future is exciting. You ready? That's from Vodafone. Great. So back to the RTI bill. I think I'll start with you, Prof. You heard those comments.
Yes.
And indeed, interestingly, I think Honourable Sam George also shares similar sentiments. And I believe the CDD has, or earlier on, stated that if there's anything the two major parties agree on, aside ex gratia debates, maybe it has to do with the RTI bill and the fact that there's this lackadaisical attitude on both sides, not to pass it.
Yes, Abena, it's very strange that a bill which has been in the system for what, is it 18 years?
More than that.
More than how many years?
20-something, 22
20-something years, and somebody is telling us, is that E.T. Hammond?
K.T.
K.T. Hammond is telling us we still have to look at it critically. What have we been doing for the past 20 years? That's the first point. Now, RTI stand for what?
Right to information.
Whose right to information? The citizens, our right to information from government, cannot get information on how this thing happened. The citizens themselves. So what can be so wrong about we citizens having right to information, to make decisions, to query some actions or inactions of government? This is a call to the issue of governance. He's mentioned America. Is he expecting us to wait for another 200 years before we pass ours? Britain that he mentioned, for so many years, Britain was a feudal state. There was no right to anything. Only the laws ruled that place. We are in a different disposition of information society, where every government, including the Americans, the British, that in today's age, to have a good governance, you must give citizens the right to information. RTI is not a game in town. So for you to say that these people waited for 200 years, no, that is a crooked argument. You shouldn't be making those arguments. So I think the citizens of Ghana have a right to information. We'll be waiting for 20 years. Yes, of course. In today's social media age. Can you see? I agree with him to some extent. Can you imagine citizens getting the information and then throw it on social media? You give a lot of head to the politicians. So they are scared stiff. Yes. So these days, 20 years ago, we don't have social media.
So it calls for better implementation.
Oh, well, it calls for us to
pass it first.
And then we live with it.
We'll live with it and take care of it.
Yeah.
Yes, the citizens have a right. Now, in fact, now we have to have citizen journalism. Everybody now is a journalist. Okay? In fact, a lot of citizens don't actually know what this is all about. Can you imagine if they know that they can go and get information having this right? Oh, yes. I can understand why they're so concerned. But this is the day. We must get that thing passed. And I don't think any delay tactics from either the MPP or the NDC will be justified.
Right. Now, I mean, it's interesting, following the comments by K.T. Hammond and some other members of Parliament, a number of civil society groups have spoken about this, specifically the Media Foundation for West Africa has spoken about it, and the executive director of that, Mr. Suleiman Abrahima, thinks that perhaps Mr. K.T. Hammond is himself confused about what an RTI law seeks to do. Honorable Dafiamoko, do you think is it a case of the confusion as to what the law seeks to do, or is just a certain, attitude towards it? We don't want to give people the opportunity to have information, otherwise we'll be, he uses the word pestered. Is it a case that people are being, or duty bearers are being pestered for information? You are accountable to the people. The people are entitled to have information, subject to some laws which may perhaps border on national security and all. But otherwise, the people are entitled.
Abna, you and I, even in criminal prosecution, as defense attorneys, it was difficult getting information from prosecution until recently. So the bounds are being expanded. K.T. Hammond doesn't speak for Parliament, with all due respect to him. And I want the generality of the people to listen to me.
Not just only K.T. Hammond, the other MP.
No, hold on.
What's his name?
Hold on.
Sam George did as well, but you carry on.
I didn't hear Sam George.
You didn't hear Sam George? You
yes.
Please,
we don't have much time, so Honorable, carry on.
Play Sam George.
We don't have much time.
Even if Sam George said so,
3 minutes to go.
He doesn't
1
speak
minute
for Parliament.
Yes.
He doesn't speak for NDC. I am saying that the 7th Parliament that I am part of, we are committed to passing this law.
Okay.
That's my point. And I'm part of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. We have considered the bill at committee level. We have brought it back to Parliament. We are at the consideration stage. We are moving steadily. And we must also not be stampeded into crafting a bad law.
That's right.
That's my duty.
True.
So I want to assure everybody that as Parliament, we are committed to passing this law.
That's fine.
And,
I think
and we have we have other bills that we have about 45 bills facing the committee. So it's not as if we are prioritizing others.
But if that is not done, the thing is the budget is likely to be read, and then we go into that 15th November. We don't have time, so you're looking at it.
But I'm saying that this law will be passed in the life of this Parliament. I am not in government. I'm not in the executive. if the executive, through the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, prioritizes this and says that even though budget is coming, budget hearings are coming, we'll still find time, which is us. We'll still find time and work on this bill. Yeah. We'll do it.
Very well.
Look, if you look at the clips,
it's
only just a few MPs, just about 30, 35, 40 MPs who normally work on the bills. And we are committed.
Very well. But
so let the people be assured. Nobody should be apprehensive about it. The bill will be passed.
But the apprehension is, I think, is real, which is in the fact that, I mean, even to get a quorum to discuss it is an issue. And those are the things that prevent the process from moving on quickly.
You see, the last time, what Katie Hammond did, it was wrongful, because at the time that he needed to raise the quorum was not proper. He cited Order 48. You could not be citing Order 48 when business is progressing. In any case, Parliament was already rising.
Okay.
For that particular hour.
So you're saying quorum issues shouldn't be something
we
that
had quorum. So he was
out of place.
He was out of order.
Very well. Come out quickly on this.
And we didn't rise because of Katie Hammond's issue.
Very well.
I'm happy when Honorable Roxanne says that Katie Hammond appears opinionated on this matter. Yes. It is his opinion.
He doesn't speak for Parliament.
With the greatest of respect, it's an institution we're talking about here. This particular RTI bill has a history. Somewhere in 2002.
In fact, the
history
is that was by the president.
No, please. Let me go ahead. Please.
Let him go.
It has a
1
history.
minute.
1 minute? No, I've not said anything.
Carry on.
What? It has a history. Somewhere in 2002, the executive arm of government, in fact, government formed by MPP then, had cause to say that let's draft a bill of this nature and started pushing it to where we are today.
But had been drafted by the IEA. The IEA led that whole process.
No, I'm saying somewhere in 2000, the executive arm, the IEA started in 1999. You understand? Then it came to executive arm of government, drafted it somewhere in 2002. The MPP government, move on. It tells you that the commitment of MPP, the commitment of us, making sure that the RTI bill moves into law is enormous.
But it wasn't passed in the first administration of the
NPP. Let's not create the impression out there that maybe one of our own, who is an MP, has said this. Therefore, impliedly, the government of the day is not interested. We are interested. Let me tell you, not too long ago, the bill was raised before Parliament. It was a minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, Honorable, who got up to cite procedural, lapses. Then the majority leader got up and said, look, the committees, like you rightly said, had sat on this matter, looked at it, and pushed it. So they went back and forth. There's their own standing orders and their own rules of Parliament that they have to go on. It means that there's commitment on the side of the majority. There's commitment on the side of government to push.
Otherwise, I could say that it is government.
Please allow him.
You have the cause.
We're running out of time. Carry on.
I spoke from the perspective of Parliament. No, you are dragging in minority leaders and all that. You can't blame this one on minority.
Please allow him. Come out, carry on.
I want you to speak generally.
Come out. The point is, we're running out of time. Honorable, please allow him. But the point is, come out quickly. Just to direct
the perspective you are pushing.
Honorable, please allow me. Allow me.
There's no sense. No, I'm not blaming him.
We ran out of time.
I'm not blaming him. No,
we're done.
I didn't blame him.
We're done here.
I said the procedure was questioned by him. And then the majority leader got up to
say,
but if he raised
good issues, that's fine.
It means that, yes, there are commitments from both sides.
Okay.
Individuals may have their problems. But see, somebody talks about 22 years, 18 years, and all this thing. Look, the RTI, in Sri Lanka, for instance, when Sri Lankans thought that, look, let's adopt it, it took them over 16 years. You know why? Sometimes the implementation is a problem. You can have all these fine laws sitting there. But if you don't fine tune, you just said that the rough edges must be looked at before we pass it. Now, if you don't look at those rough edges, you don't look at how you implement it, just churn out a law, then it's sitting there and you can do it.
Thank you very much. But the references to other jurisdictions, for me, I always have issue with that because we have a template.
No, it has to shape it.
So it shouldn't take us as much time, but that's fine.
We have to look at how we help you shape it.
This is where, gentlemen, exercise restraint. That's it. This is where we bring our conversations to a close, gentlemen. Thank you so much for making the date with us. We appreciate your time and your messages, and also to my very fired up panelists here. Kamaldeen Abdullahi, thank you. And to Roxanne Nelson Dafiamopo, Honorable MP for North Dai constituency. South Dai. And Professor Clement Jidonu. Thank you so much. We'll be back here same time next week. Do have yourself a very good weekend. Bye-bye.